Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. Today's guest is my friend Camille Corr Chism. She is the principal and owner of Indigo Packaging and consultant. Hi, Camille. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Oh, so good. I've appreciated all your help. You've been so supportive of our live audio events and all the things. You've really saved my bacon a few times. I want to thank you for that.
No problem. Hey, we got us sustainability people have to stick together, right?
That's right. Definitely. So tell us, how did you get into packaging? It's such a unique.
Yeah, so I think I was actually developed my own STEAM program. So you hear about STEM,
Yeah.
but you add the A for art and you get STEAM. So I'll just say I was an early adopter of it. My father was a mechanical engineer with an MBA,
Wow.
and I loved art, and I actually was taking some art classes in high school at Wayne State in Michigan, in Detroit. And so Wayne State University. And so I wanted to go into art, and my father said, "Who's paying for art school?" So I had to kind of rethink that.
Yeah.
So I'm at Michigan State and I'm taking chemistry and physics and calculus, but then I'm taking art and theater and psychology and,
Mhm.
just kind of doing whatever, was sounding interesting, just trying to find myself. And
Yeah.
one of my friends told me about this packaging class, because I was always looking for an elective. And I took this class and I'm like, man, this is really interesting.
I love
And I
it.
went to talk to I went to talk to the advisor, and he was like, "You need to do this and this and this." And I'm like, I was literally in the program already without realizing it. Literally, I just had to take a couple business courses, I think microbiology, and then all the packaging courses, and I was done. And I
Awesome.
interned at Kraft, and I was like, "This is a lot of fun."
It's such a unique industry. And so far, almost everyone I've interviewed has said, I didn't intend to be in packaging. That wasn't my original plan.
Mhm.
So we all seem to fall backwards into packaging somehow. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So feel fortunate, I still have ties with Michigan State School Packaging, and it's just I I never look back. It's just a combination of being creative and technical, all at the same time.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, tell us about your company. What is Indigo Packaging all about?
So, Indigo Packaging is a boutique consulting firm. We specialize in automotive, industrial, and startups. So, I would put it in a very brief description. I would say we do project management for packaging. So, it can be anywhere from, working on designs, working on timing, helping people determine, what the best sustainable pack is, also helping them find the right suppliers that they can use. I've been in the industry for over 30 years. So if I don't know the person, I can find someone that knows
Right.
that person or the company that does something. What else do we do? And I'm also, during COVID, started looking at, what else can I do? And I started pivoting towards software. So I'm developing a software product that is basically a packaging tool for teams in automotive to help with their packaging. They use a lot of returnable packaging. So just so that they have an understanding of what they need, comparing, they can do comparison side by side and those sorts of things and help them with their projects.
I love that. That's the future, I think, is the softwares, the platforms that make people more efficient and sustainable. I'm excited to talk about returnable packaging because the automotive industry has really innovated and been a leader in returnable packaging. Can you talk to us about that? Like, how did that start? How does it work?
Sure. So, first, it's not very often I hear someone say I get excited to talk about returnable packaging. I do, but I don't hear other people say it very often.
Packaging nerds, yes.
Yes, yes. Packaging nerds unite. I so as far as automotive packaging, they started using returnables in the 80s. There's not really much history on how it got started, but they are seen as an asset versus an expense. So if
Oh,
they make a determination on whether you're going to use a returnable or an expendable, which would be, a throwaway box or throwaway bag, they look at the returnable as in a capital expenditure. So they have to go through the whole process to justify it. I even have samples here.
Oh yeah,
These are,
love it.
little bitty samples. If anyone's ever seen me on anything in a meeting, they'll probably see me pull this out. Okay, so this is an example, obviously it's like 10 times smaller, but
Yeah.
this would be an example of an expendable pallet, right? A wood pallet. And this would be
So
an example.
for those of you listening, this is like a small wood pallet, like that would emulate like a 48 by 40 two-way pallet made out of, looks like balsa wood or something like that, but it's
Yeah,
just a little mini sample.
yeah. So this would be an example of expendable because eventually you can throw it away, right?
Yeah,
Ends up
right.
in somebody's coffee table or, on some TikTok where they've made like a house or something.
Right.
And then this is an example of a returnable pack. So it's reinforced and it can be used over and over again. This is an example of a bin. So normally if you have a handheld tote, you would put multiple of these totes onto one of these pallets. But you also can have something that actually has the same footprint as a pallet. So as you can see, they're the same. This would be, both of these would be like a 48 by 45 footprint. So then they fill this up at the supplier, they put parts in it.
And it's a
then
plastic, heavy duty plastic tote bin.
Yes.
Yep.
And there are some that are made out of steel, but mostly
Oh, really?
Yeah, most of those are, for some reason, they go overseas. Those are the ones you see overseas, I think, because
Yep.
they're so durable. Mostly what you're going to see domestically and even sometimes crossing the border into Canada and Mexico will be a plastic tote, either handheld or a bin like this. And once they fill that up, empty it, they put it back on the truck and they send it back to the supplier. So that helps because, even though they have to ship it back to the supplier, they have an established route. So that's more efficient,
Right.
but also they're not throwing these away, or they
Right.
shouldn't throw it away. But that's another story. So they have these routes, they're reusing them, and it saves money in the long run because you can compare the cost of this over a certain period of time versus an expendable box, and over time it pays off.
You can reuse corrugated, but only so many times, especially with heavy parts like that, right?
Yes, especially if you have heavier parts and if you're based somewhere that's warm and humid, it doesn't last. I worked at one company and they were in a warm climate and they were using corrugated. It was triple wall, but it was corrugated, and they were constantly replacing them, and they didn't have anyone there that was following. And I saw how many times are they using these and how many times are you rebuying them? I found out that they were supposed to maybe last so many years. They were buying them like 3 times a year, something ridiculous. Yeah.
And how long would one of those heavy duty plastic totes last, do you think?
So the predicted life of these is 5 to 7 years, which is really the life of a vehicle program. So, from the time you get the new model of a vehicle until they refresh it and come up with a new body style, that's usually going to be about 5 to 7 years. So they anticipate that they last that long. Now, if you do the proper preventive maintenance and you're careful with them, they could last longer than that. But when they do the capital expenditure calculations, it's 5 to 7 years normally.
That's really impressive. And I didn't even think about how cars only get made for a certain amount of time. So that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of a fleeting program with kind of planned obsolescence at a certain point. Interesting to think about that. Yeah, most parts we think of, they're going to run them in perpetuity, but you never know. Well, with cars, it makes a lot of sense. The model only lasts so long.
Yes. Yeah. And if these are maintained well, then sometimes they can plan to use these into the next program. So sometimes they'll look and see how many of these can we carry over into the next program.
That's really cool.
Not buy as many.
Have you seen the ones that collapse? Like
yes.
The bins that the sides fold down and then it becomes like this flat. That's really fascinating.
Yes, and those are good because when you do that return, the denser that return is, the more economical it is, the less fuel you're using, it really improves the carbon footprint.
Yeah.
So if you can break those down, and maybe you might send in, I'm just going to say 50 in a day, but
Right.
then you can send back all 250 over a week's time
Yeah.
in one truck. So you're returning on one truck for every 5 trucks that you send in.
That's excellent. I have a customer that uses those tote bins for food deliveries
Mhm.
to grocery stores, and they get them back and they're folded flat, and they're like a tote bin that is smaller, instead of using corrugated boxes. And that program seems to work really well for them.
Yeah, those are great. So, if anybody's listening in the returnable packaging world, if you give me a sample of a break and one that knocks down, that would be great. Hint, hint. There are also some that they are made. They will use a Coriplast, like the plastic corrugated, and they actually are modular, and they can break them down and ship them flat as well. So the more you can ship them flat in the returnable world, the better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an important part of packaging sustainability is, being efficient in freight.
Yes,
I agree.
definitely.
I agree. So what's a funny story you can tell us? What's something that's happened in your career that you were like, oh man, I can't believe that happened.
Okay, so okay, this was a returnable story.
Yeah.
We had this one plant I was working with, and every month it was like, "Oh, we're out of containers, we're out of containers, we need more returnables." And they were spending about $10,000 a month on replacing returnables. I'm like, where are these going? Someone's stealing them, because theft can be a thing with returnables. I'm like, where are these things going? And we didn't have any record of them going out, because we could track them. They're not going anywhere, and they're just going literally into this black hole. Where are they going? So something made me Google map the location. And there was this, maybe I can share the picture with you too, but you see this big, like, you're seeing these, semi trucks that are, 50 feet long.
Yeah.
And they're lined up in this yard. And then you see this big splotch of this pile of something black. Like, those are the containers. This pile was 75 feet long and about 25 feet wide, taking up in the backyard. So I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing? No, we get them in and we can't use them, so we just put them in the back. But why don't you just, when you run out, why don't you just go and get, oh, because we have like snakes and scorpions back there. Like, oh, okay. I think we probably could have afforded to get an exterminator or something. So,
That's
yeah,
funny.
that's one of my favorites. I'll have to find that picture and share it with you. So I don't
Oh,
know
I
if you
love it.
can put it in after the fact, but it was just pretty hilarious when I just like, and everyone's like, what made you Google map it? I'm like, I didn't know. I would just, where else could these things be? I
Right.
couldn't imagine they could go anywhere else. So just on a whim, let me just Google map it and see what happens.
Did
And
they end up getting an exterminator or hiring somebody brave to go out and get them?
they did clean them up after that, because I think that I copied a couple of people in leadership. Might have copied a few people in leadership. So yeah, so word got out and they cleaned it up pretty fast. And
That's a big savings. Good job.
yeah, because they were spending $10,000 a month. And because it was, they were saying that they were lost and everything, it didn't necessarily come from their plan. It was coming from a different budget, which
Yeah.
is why I was able to copy leadership.
Right. Well, and that's the kind of thing that makes you a long-term partner, right? When you solve problems like that.
Yeah, so you've
Yeah.
got to be like a super sleuth / psychologist / artist / everything. That's one of the great things about packaging is, you can just get in there and whatever needs to be done, you can do it.
I agree. We have to wear many hats as packaging professionals. Yeah, well done.
Yes.
Well, what's the future of sustainable packaging? Is there anything out there that you're seeing that is exciting to you?
I so I mean, I think for me, the future of sustainability, I think that it has to be in the systems to actually follow through on whether it's recycling or composting or whatever
Yeah.
that end of life is, it has
Hmm.
to be maintained. I think that one thing that's exciting is I think we're past the whole flavor of the month and people are actually paying attention to it where,
Yeah.
I saw the environmentally friendly, give a hoot, don't pollute,
Yeah.
I'm dating myself here, but and it's
Yeah.
like you see that cycle. Everyone's like really psyched up, and
Yeah.
first like we would get rid of our. We won't throw everything in the street. We
Yeah.
won't throw it on the roads. We won't kill trees. On and on and on. But I think people are actually seeing the whole picture now, where before it was a particular industry may have been having issues with their sales. So they use sustainability or environmentally friendly to prop up their business and get more
Right.
business. So, but then you didn't always hear all the stories about, so yeah, we're planting a tree, but we didn't tell you we're planting a tree that doesn't fit in the environment. So now we've
Right.
killed half the animals. Or, you know,
Right.
yeah, aluminum is completely recyclable. However, only, less than 20% of it actually is recycled. I mean, just I think every type of packaging has that story. And I think people
Yeah.
are actually learning that the complete story now. And before they weren't, they would just hear the one thing, this is the perfect package. And
Yeah.
they don't necessarily know why. Now they're looking at what's the perfect for me and how do I best handle it.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. It feels like it's actually happening this time. And you're right. If for so long, oh, we want to be green. We're going to be enviro friendly. We're going to do it this time.
Mhm.
And how much is that going to be? Oh, no, we can't do that. Next year, we'll talk about it.
Yes. Yes.
Now we're getting answers like, yeah, we have to do it. It's time. We must be part of the solution.
We have to be. And then it's hard because, you know, our main type of packaging, it was designed to be disposable
Yeah.
and it's really cheap. So, it's kind of hard to break that habit.
Yeah.
We're like the smoker on the high cigarette or something.
Yeah.
We're stuck on that right now. And I think we're getting past that. We're going through the withdrawal phase, but we're getting there.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you so much, Camille. This has been awesome. Can you tell everybody how to get in touch with you so they can use your services?
Yes, you can reach me on LinkedIn, Camille Corr Chism, Corr, like corrugated Chism, Chism. You can go to my website, which is, it should be, right now it's being under development, but being revamped. But by the time this plays, it'll be good. You can reach me up on my website, which is
Is
www.indigopkg.com. And that's INDIGO, like the color, P is in Paul, KG.com. Or you can email me at Camille, CAMILLE, at indigopkg.com. You can just social media, pretty much Indigo PKG on Instagram and Twitter. I think you can find me, but the best way is to email me or just go on my website or LinkedIn.
I like that name. Is that your favorite color?
Yes, blue is my favorite color. You can't already tell.
Yes, ma'am.
And yeah, and that's another story. I mean, I initially named the company something else, and I was in another state. And when I moved back to Michigan, I went to, register the name, and there was, instead of, I was consulting and there's consultant with the exact same name. And I
Oh,
looked it up and I'm like, oh, we went to college together. We even worked at the same company at different times.
oh no.
LinkedIn actually made one of the people at that company an employee of my company on the LinkedIn page. So I'm like,
Yikes.
yeah, I think I better think of another name. One of my friends said, you need to name it a shade of blue because you've always loved blue.
I love that. That's a cool name. Well done. Well, thanks so much. And I really appreciate you doing this today.
Sure. Thank you, Cory. It's great to talk to you. And finally, one day we will meet in the three-dimensional world.
Yes, I look forward to that very much.
Yes.
And thank you, Landsberg Aurora, for sponsoring this show. We appreciate that. If you're listening, please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. And we appreciate a review. Thanks so much.